Tens of millions of heavenly troops shouted excitedly. We won! Who was that mighty figure just now? Didn't you notice that he looks very similar to Divine General Han? Wow, could it be the legendary father of Divine General Han? How terrifying! He killed 13 lives first before killing the Great Tao Divine Spirit. He killed them all! Is the Great Tao Divine Spirit really dead? Definitely. Otherwise, they would definitely jump out now. It was not only the heavenly troops. The disciples of the Great Tao sages and the cultivators of the Great Tao Tower were also discussing excitedly. A total of 23 Great Tao sages fought against the Despair Tao Spirit but did not gain the upper hand. But Hanju instantly killed the Despair Tao Spirit. Not to mention them, even the Great Tao sages were shocked. Fuxishan smiled bitterly. We didn't lose in vain. Niwa was silent. She was still in shock because she heard the cheers in the distance. Those lives didn't escape but were killed by Hanju. How long had it been since they were trapped in the darkness? Hanju had clearly attained the Great Tao tens of thousands of years ago. Why was he so powerful? Could it be that he had already surpassed the Great Tao realm? The Great Tao sages looked at each other and saw the shock and fear in each other's eyes. That's right. Terror. If Hanju wanted to kill them earlier, they would definitely not be able to escape. The more the Great Tao sages thought about it, the more afraid they became. At the same time, their impression of Hanju changed. This person was not bloodthirsty. Unless he had no choice, he would not attack. But once he attacked, it would definitely be a death blow. It was undoubtedly not wise to provoke such an enemy. The Great Tao sages had their own judgment. On the other side, Etian hugged Han Tuo and said excitedly, Brother! Good brother! Introduce me to your father. I want to acknowledge him as my master. Zhou Fan said proudly, You can only be a grand disciple. What do you think? Chu Shuren smiled and said, My disciple Zhou Minghua might accept you. Han Tuo came back to his senses and listened to the cries of the surrounding people. He was filled with pride. Qinling realized that Hanju was Han Tuo's father. Wasn't he the ancestor of his grandmaster? Gasp! Wasn't his background too powerful? Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju sat on the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus and took a deep breath. He became even more nervous after the battle ended. It had to be said. W was. The battle just now was very satisfying. He suddenly understood those battle maniacs. No! I can't immerse myself in this pleasure. This is a trick of the Great Tao to confuse me. Hanju adjusted his state of mind and let his Tao heart calm down. He was still him. Nothing had changed. At this moment, notifications appeared in front of him. Niwa has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars. Jiayin has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 2 stars. Di Jiang has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 4 stars. Heavenly Lord of Primordial Beginning has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 2 stars. The 23 Great Tao sages who went to the Heavenly Court all had a favorable impression of him, including his previous enemies. Hanju cursed silently. As expected of the sages, their EQ was maxed out. This was also good. He could turn hostility into friendship. It was better to have more friends than enemies. However, Hanju still wouldn't let down his guard against them unless they were willing to enter his primordial heavenly prison. Hanju began to summarize his gains. He killed many enemies and copied a lot of simulation trial data. It was a huge harvest. Hanju didn't have to be stubborn with ancestor Shitian anymore. Thinking of him, Hanju used the derivation function. I want to know why ancestor Shitian was suppressed by the chaotic consciousness. 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Hanju entered the illusion. He opened his eyes, and a dazzling light entered his eyes. In front of him were layers of clouds. The huge sun hung at the end of the clouds. In front of the sun was a mighty figure that blocked most of the sunlight. Even Hanju couldn't see the other party's true appearance. An unfathomable power isolated the senses and sage sense of the great Tao sage. Chaotic consciousness. Shitian, tell me the identity of the Dark Forbidden Lord. The chaotic consciousness was very solemn and loud. Ancestor Shitian lowered his head. I don't know. I've already deduced that the Dark Forbidden Lord once saved you. How can you not know? When did he save me? Why don't I know? Ancestor Shitian looked up and asked. Chaotic consciousness said, perhaps not now. Ancestor Shitian frowned. Hanju also frowned. So Ancestor Shitian was beaten because of him? Ancestor Shitian shook his head. I don't know. You really don't know? I don't know. All right. The chaotic voice suddenly changed, filled with pressure. The illusion shattered. Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. He was puzzled. Did Ancestor Shitian know his identity? If he did, could the chaotic consciousness not directly read his memories? Hanju didn't continue calculating. Anyway, Ancestor Shitian suffered because of him. Hanju could only sigh. He was too weak and could not resist the chaotic consciousness at all, let alone Ancestor Shitian who had already escaped. It seemed that the identity of the Dark Forbidden Lord was very special. He was already a thorn in the eyes of the chaotic consciousness. He had to think of a way to divert his attention. Otherwise, it would be troublesome in the future. Hanju suddenly thought of life. Life called itself darkness. He could use it. By pretending to be the Dark Forbidden Lord, wouldn't he, who killed life, be the Dark Forbidden Lord's enemy? Hanju felt that this was a good idea. He immediately brought out the life he had subdued from the primordial world and threw it into the primordial heavenly prison. Life was still suppressed by various great Tao powers and had yet to awaken. Hanju closed his eyes and prepared to cultivate. The battle of the heavenly court felt longer than 10,000 years. At this moment, First Life Black Sovereign has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, stars. Hanju opened his eyes and raised his eyebrows. It's time. Life's backing. He immediately pulled out his interpersonal relationships and found the portrait of the First Life Black Sovereign. First Life Black Sovereign, Late Stage Great Tao Supreme, First Life, Master of the Great Tao Providence Divine Authority, Calamity Life Controller, Lord of Darkness. An ancient living being born before the chaos. After the chaos was born, it was rejected by the rules of chaos and lingered in the primordial void. Later, it was affected by the battle of the chaotic fiend celestials and was destroyed by Pango. However, its divine authority protected its will, making it last forever. Because you killed the Calamity Life Controller, it developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, stars. Born before the chaos? Goodness! How long had he lived? Hanju sighed. Most importantly, after living for so long, he was only at the Great Tao Supreme Realm. The chaotic deities were definitely existences that appeared after the chaos, but the chaotic consciousness was already a Tao creator. As the senior of the chaotic consciousness, the First Life Black Sovereign had been living a miserable life. No wonder he was so hostile towards the chaos. He had to cultivate for 10,000 years to calm down. The battle of the heavenly court was intense. Legends about Hanju quickly spread in the chaos over the next 1,000 years. The heavenly Tao didn't know about this. Before the heavenly Tao sages knew about this, they had taken the initiative to negotiate peace. Outside the Suisat RD heaven. Universal Hall. The sages gathered. Heavenly Venerate Xian Du recounted the requests of the great Tao sages in the deity realm of the ruins of End. Chao Shilai frowned. They allowed the living beings of the heavenly Tao to seek opportunities in their domain and even promised to give them some help. Spreading Tao techniques? Could it be a trap? The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate also frowned with a strange expression. I've also received the initiative of the chaotic Jia school to express goodwill. They hope that I can persuade you to let go of your past grudges, and they say that they're willing to befriend the heavenly Tao again and won't interfere with it in the future. How can this be? What happened? The other sages spoke. How strange. Could it be that they want to attack the heavenly Tao, so they're trying to numb us in advance? No way! This method is too clumsy. My ancestor, the Heavenly Lord of Primordial Beginning, said that he was willing to give the Heavenly Tao 1,000,000 spots to listen to the Tao. He will escort these listeners safely back to the chaotic Heavenly Road. This is no longer a show of goodwill. He's practically begging the Heavenly Tao to befriend them. It turned out that it was not only Heavenly Venerate Xian Du. The other Heavenly Tao sages had also been roped in by the great Tao sages. Heavenly Venerate Wufa said, something big must have happened in the chaos. Emperor Shao said, don't be in a hurry to make a decision. Let's investigate the situation first. Su Dudao asked, should we ask Senior Pan and Senior Han? Heavenly Venerate Xian Du said in a low voice, let's wait for fellow Taoist Pan to return first. He should be able to find out what happened in the chaos. Before the matter was concluded, he wouldn't disturb Hanju's cultivation. Hanju was the greatest reliance of the heavenly Tao. He couldn't annoy him for no reason. If Hanju was really a great Tao sage, the heavenly Tao was dispensable to him. The reason why Hanju stayed was only for peace and quiet. See? The sages nodded in agreement. 10,000 years passed quickly. Hanju opened his eyes and discovered that life had yet to be successfully enslaved. As expected of a great Tao sage, it took a long time to subdue him. He noticed that Li Xianao was waiting outside the 100-peak Immortal River with a large group of disciples. He directly moved all of them into the 100-peak Immortal River. He started checking his emails. Your good friend Evil Heavenly Emperor has received guidance from your good friend Jiayin. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your disciple Zhou Fan has received guidance from your good friend Muhua. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your disciple Dao Sovereign was attacked by demons, X80933321. Your disciple Zhao Xinyuan was attacked by a mysterious demon and was severely injured. Your good friend Jiang Yi was attacked by demons, X72110034. Your good friend Pen Xin was attacked by your good friend Di Jiang and was severely injured. Your disciple Su Qi has successfully attained the Tao and attained the primordial chaos Tao fruit. His providence has increased greatly. The great Tao sages in the deity realm of the ruins of End indeed knew how to behave. They actually took turns to guide the evil Heavenly Emperor and the others to get closer. This time, Hanju couldn't do anything to them. He could only hope that these great Tao sages would not stab him in the back in the future. Otherwise, it would be useless even if they begged for mercy. Oh, ancestor! He had gone astray. However, this was also good. It was more convenient for Hanju to slander the first life Black Sovereign. Further down, there was no surprise in Su Qi's Tao attainment. After all, he controlled the providence of the netherworld. After reading the emails, Hanju began to observe the immortal world. After 10,000 years, the immortal world developed better and better. Hanju noticed that the number of Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals and Pseudo-Sages had also increased. It was a little strange. He counted with his fingers and came to a realization. It turned out that these cultivators had all gone to listen to the Great Tao Sage's lecture. The Great Tao Sages in the deity realm of the ruins of End were determined to befriend the heavenly Tao. To be precise, they wanted to befriend Hanju. Too obvious. However, Hanju didn't want to reply for the time being. He just wanted to let nature take its course. Although he could kill these Great Tao Sages, they were still a powerful force. It would naturally be a good thing if they could help the heavenly Tao. At this moment, Li Xian'eo came to visit and Hanju let him in. Just like before, Li Xian'eo first reported the development of the hidden sect. However, he was very excited this time, and the admiration in his eyes could not be hidden. After reporting the basic situation, Li Xian'eo couldn't help but ask, "Sect Master, have you already surpassed the Great Tao Sages?" Clearly, he had already heard of Hanju's achievements. After all, there was the Myriad Worlds projection. Hanju said, "I'm still a Great Tao Sage, but my methods are powerful." Li Xian'eo began to flatter him. Hanju frowned impatiently, scaring him so much that he hurriedly stopped. Now, more than 10 factions in the chaos have expressed their intention to befriend the hidden sect through Zhoufan. They are even willing to preach the Tao to the hidden sect disciples. However, I feel that this is not appropriate. After all, the low-level disciples don't know your battle achievements and have received the favor of others for no reason. They might change sides, so I rejected them one by one, Li Xian'eo said seriously. Hanju nodded slightly. This kid was not overwhelmed by surprise. Then, he mentioned the descendants of Pangu. The hidden sect had accepted many. He hoped that Hanju could preach the Tao when he was free and win the hearts of the people. Hanju agreed. After Li Xian'eo left, Hanju continued to observe the immortal world. His gaze gradually landed on the chaotic heavenly road. Heavenly Venerate Xian Du's voice sounded in Hanju's ears. He had looked for him thousands of years ago. Hanju rejected him when he heard that he was not in a hurry and said that he would go after his seclusion ended. Hanju looked at life in the primordial heavenly prison and decided to send a soul fragment to the 33rd heaven in case life tried to escape. After all, life was also a great Tao sage. If he escaped, all the hidden sect disciples in the 100-peak immortal river would die. Just like that, Hanju's soul fragment entered the universal hall. It looked no different from the main body. The sages had already arrived. Su Qi was also present. Only Li Daokong and Shi Dudao had yet to return. Master! Hanju nodded. He noticed that all the sages were looking at him with reverence, including Heavenly Venerate Xian Du. Clearly, the battle of the Heavenly Court was already known by the Heavenly Tao sages. After the sages sat down, Heavenly Venerate Xian Du said, "Recently, with the cooperation of the Great Tao sages, the chaotic Heavenly Road has developed better and better. The Heavenly Tao's providence has also strengthened and 2 new sage spots have been born. One has been occupied by fellow Taoist Su Qi, and the other has yet to be decided. We will discuss the sage position today, but it's not the main thing." Well, First Life Black Sovereign was too daring. In the Battle of the Heavenly Court, he had lost a total of 15 lives. Other than the 13 lives killed by Hanju, there was also the life who used his dark instinct and the one who provoked the Heavenly Court at the beginning. After provoking the Heavenly Court, Hanju secretly left it to the evil Heavenly Emperor before leaving. Logically speaking, under normal circumstances, after suffering such a heavy loss, one should rest for a period of time. However, the first life Black Sovereign was different. He was even more blatant and fearless. Also, the appearance of life should be considered destroying the chaos. Why did it not offend the chaotic consciousness? Could it be that in the eyes of the chaotic consciousness, they were no threat at all? It was very likely. No matter what, the first life Black Sovereign was still defeated by Pango. The Dark Forbidden Lord was different. Ever since his reputation rose, he had never lost. Even the chaotic consciousness could not determine who he was. Perhaps the chaotic consciousness already knew that Hanju might be the Dark Forbidden Lord, but he was still uncertain. Hanju thought silently and understood. Choshilai said, as long as they don't threaten the heavenly Tao, there's no need to care about them. Although many great Tao sages have befriended the heavenly Tao, the foundation of the heavenly Tao is still too weak. The most important thing now is to develop the heavenly Tao and not be taken over by the great Tao sages. Pan Xin said, I was attacked by Di Jiang when I was returning. He wanted to snatch my heaven-opening axe. How detestable. His expression was calm. He was not furious. He had been surrounded by a group of great Tao sages in the past and had still fought his way out. How could the 12 ancestral magi stop him? The other sages were silent, not knowing what to say. It was already a consensus to cooperate with the great Tao sages in the deity realm of the ruins of End. The conflict between Pan Xin and Di Jiang was only about Panga's lineage and could not break the consensus. Heavenly Venerate Xiandu said, in that case, let's not care about life for the time being. The chaotic heavenly road should connect to more chaotic worlds. This way, the providence of the heavenly Tao will increase faster. In addition, you can create a mortal world outside the heavenly Tao. The immortal world will still be the center of the heavenly Tao in the future. When the heavenly Tao covers the chaos, the immortal world will be the center of the chaos. He began to talk about the plan, making the sages excited. An hour later, they began to discuss the new sage position. Hanju didn't participate. It didn't affect him no matter who obtained it. However, he noticed that Heavenly Venerate Xiandu seemed to want this spot. Apart from Hanju's protection, Heavenly Venerate Xiandu had contributed the most to the Heavenly Tao today. He had always been diligent and rarely raised his needs. Hanju had a good impression of him and said, give it to the human school. Fellow Taoist Xiandu has contributed so much. The human school should also be promoted. In the future, every Providence sect will have more than one Heavenly Tao sage. The Heavenly Tao sage realm is no longer our highest demand. I see that your cultivation levels are increasing. It's not wishful thinking to attain the freedom realm. The moment he spoke, the sages did not dare to have any objections. At the same time, they began to look forward to his words. They would have scoffed at others if they said this. However, Hanju was a great Tao sage. In the eyes of the great Tao sages, what was a freedom sage? For a time, the sages began to support Heavenly Venerate Xiandu and even flatter him. At this moment, Heavenly Venerate Xiandu would not reject. He immediately agreed and thanked Hanju. As a new sage, Su Qi silently watched all of this. He only had one feeling. Master controlled everything. After the sage meeting ended, Hanju's soul fragment dissipated. He continued to cultivate. 5,000 years passed quickly. Primordial Heavenly Prison has successfully enslaved the target. Great Sage Void Soul, Life, has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, max. Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. It took him 1,500 years. He immediately checked the profile picture of Great Sage Void Soul. Great Sage Void Soul, Late Stage Great Tao Primordial Chaos Realm, Tribulation Calamity Life Controller, Chaotic Life Form. After attaining the Great Tao, He was attacked by a great Tao divine spirit and was suppressed at the edge of the chaos. Later, he was saved by the first life Black Sovereign and turned into life. Current favorability, max. TSK, another mighty figure with a tragic past. Great Sage Void Soul opened his eyes and knelt down. Hanju asked, "Tell me everything you know about life." Great Sage Void Soul immediately told the truth. Currently, the first life Black Sovereign had already developed more than 50 lives. Half of them were Great Tao Sages. These Great Tao Sages were all expelled by the chaos or existences who hated the chaos. Below life were the Dark Life Soldiers. There were countless of them. They were all races that had been suppressed by the chaos. Above life and below the first life Black Sovereign were 7 divine lives. They were extremely mysterious and were said to be existences even older than the heavenly Tao. Great Sage Void Soul did not have a deep understanding of the life faction. He didn't even know where the first life Black Sovereign was hiding. "What's the Life Lord hiding from?" Hanju asked. Life Lord was the first life Black Sovereign. Great Sage Void Soul frowned and said, "I'm not sure, either. I've only seen him once." He mentioned a name, Primordial Fiend Celestial. Hanju narrowed his eyes. Is there really a Primordial Fiend Celestial hidden in the chaos? Hanju fell into deep thought. He asked again, "If I let you go now, do you think you can still infiltrate the life faction?" Great Sage Void Soul shook his head. "No, Life Lord has already sensed my betrayal." Hanju could only give up. He let Great Sage Void Soul go out and find a place to cultivate. He would stay in the 100-peak Immortal River in the future and not tell anyone his true identity. He would say that he was a Tao Field Guard. Great Sage Void Soul was a great Tao Sage, after all. He could protect the heavenly Tao in the future. As for the second Tao Field, Hanju still had to maintain his original thoughts. Only the chaotic Fiend Celestials could stay in the second Tao Field. Hanju asked in his mind, "I want to know if there is another Primordial Fiend Celestial other than me, including the blank domain outside the chaos." This time, his lifespan was not deducted. Hanju showed a frown. He recalled the words of the future Fang Liang. The future Fang Liang wanted to lure him into the blank domain to avoid the chaotic deity's pursuit. Was he trying to harm him? No! Fang Liang had already been tamed by the primordial heavenly prison. He would not harm Hanju. That meant he was being used by someone. Just like the evil heavenly emperor from before, he was used by the great Tao concealment fiend celestial to lure Hanju out. However, Hanju already knew about this. There would definitely be changes in the future. Thinking of the calamity, Hanju had to derive it. I want to know how long I have until the great Tao calamity. 1 trillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. About 8.9 billion years. Crap. It sped up. Was it because he had killed life earlier? Hanju continued to ask, who pushed the process of the great Tao calamity? 500 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. It was the other party's information introduction. First life Black Sovereign. Hanju frowned again. Apart from him, the others could also push for the great Tao immeasurable calamity forward. This was not good. Didn't that mean that the time calculated by the system was not certain? Should he think of a way to get rid of First Life Black Sovereign? No! No one would take the blame if he got rid of that guy. Hanju fell into deep thought. After a long while, Hanju's voice resounded throughout the 100-peak Immortal River. All disciples, prepare to listen to the Tao. Because of the addition of new disciples, Hongju still informed them in advance. With that said, the 100-peak immortal river boiled over. Especially the new 100,000 disciples, they were full of fantasies about Hongju. 5 minutes later, Hongju began to preach the Tao. The great Tao of extreme origin covered the entire 100-peak immortal river. This lecture lasted for 200 years. Even great sage Void Soul gained enlightenment. After the lecture, Hongju directly entered cultivation. His goal was to be on par with the chaotic deities and truly dominate the chaos. The chaos was endless. The chaotic heavenly road traversed the darkness. At this moment, Hanyu and Qinling met on a section of the chaotic heavenly road. Qinling was very excited and knelt in front of Hanyu. Hanyu smiled and helped him up. The two of them began to exchange pleasantries. The current Great Tao Tower was already considered a subsidiary force of the hidden sect. In order to cultivate in peace, Zhou Fan asked Li Xianao to send a large number of cultivators who were good at government management to control it. The Great Tao Tower did not resist, especially after the Battle of the Heavenly Court. They were looking forward to joining the hidden sect. Anyone who joined the Great Tao Tower was someone with no fixed residence. With a stronger backing, why not? Hanyu said, I know your connections and ability, so I came to you. To be honest, I learned that my master, Li Daokong, has been missing for a long time. I've visited the sages, and they said that they don't know where he is. I'm a little worried. Although my master is a sage, he's still very tiny in the chaos. I'm worried that something has happened to him. As the chaotic heavenly road flourished, the living beings of the heavenly Tao also understood more and more about the chaos. The chaos was too big. Not to mention the heavenly Tao, even the dark forbidden zone only occupied a small portion of the chaos. Until now, no one knew how big the chaos was. Some mighty figures even believed that the chaos was endless and limitless. Sages might be supreme in a small corner of the heavenly Tao, but they were definitely no different from mortals in the chaos. There were still many dangerous places hidden in the chaos. Even sages would die if they accidentally entered. To Hanyu, Li Daokong was not as simple as his master. He was more like his father. Qinling frowned. He could understand him. If Hanyu was missing, he would definitely take the risk to find him. This is very important. Why don't I bring you to see the master of the Great Tao Tower? He's also a disciple of the hidden sect. It's said that he has an extremely good relationship with the ancestor, Qinling said in a low voice. Hanyu nodded. They immediately moved. On the way, Qinling asked where his master, Tianyong, was. Hanyu said helplessly, he has long stepped onto the chaotic heavenly road. I don't know where he went. He might be dead. Qinling didn't ask further. He didn't like Tianyong. His master had never taught him anything. The heavenly Tao life forms heading to the chaos were already immeasurable. The heavenly Tao was spreading its branches at an extremely exaggerated speed. The place where the heavenly Tao life form stopped would soon form the Providence of the heavenly Tao and expand its territory. 10,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. Hanju's life fell into peace again. No one disturbed him. Li Daokong, who was hiding in the life faction, didn't use the invocation technique either. He was probably not in danger for the time being. In the past few years, another heavenly Tao sage had been born in the immortal world. He was from the human school and was called Li Taigu. The human school's momentum increased greatly and they recruited many disciples. The current immortal world could be said to be in full bloom. There were no absolute Providence sects or races. After leaving the heavenly Tao, no matter what race they were, as long as they were heavenly Tao life forms, they would feel even more intimate. For this, Pan Xin even specially established the Heavenly Road Patrol Army, all of them Pangu's descendants. Relying on the name of the sage Pangu, Pan Xian roped in most of the descendants and established the Pangu race. Hanju started to check his emails. Some people obtained opportunities, some were still being beaten, and some friends lit up the name of the new map. It was still interesting, but no email was worth Hanju's special attention. After reading the emails, Hanju stood up and went to Xinghongshuan's Taoist temple next door. Xinghongshuan was still cultivating. Her cultivation level had already reached the late-stage pseudo-sage realm. This speed had already surpassed that of a personal disciple. Hanju suspected that she had stolen her son's talent. Hanju's visit made Xinghongshuan very happy. The two of them sat on the bed and started chatting. Xinghongshuan was very excited and proudly talked about her cultivation speed. She felt that she would attain the Tao in another 100,000 years. Hanju asked, "Will it burden you if the child is never born?" Xinghongshuan smiled. "No, the longer he's nurtured, the stronger his potential. In any case, he can help me cultivate even if he's not born." She began to touch her womb with a sweet expression. She felt like her son was being filial to her. Hanju was speechless. This woman was really cheerful. Not bad. He didn't tell her the truth, lest Xinghongshuan worry. He called the black hell chicken, Sun Chang'an, the 8 Calabash brothers, Da, Shao Er, the chaotic heavenly dog, the 3-headed Wyrm king, and 2 Linger into the Taoist temple. The personal disciples quickly arrived. All of them were nervous, but they couldn't hide their surprise. As Hanju became stronger, their status increased. However, the distance between them and him also increased. This was something that couldn't be helped. However, they were still loyal to Hanju and knew that something good had happened when he called them over. When one attained the Tao, even his chickens and dogs would ascend to heaven. Hanju would not forget them. On the path of cultivation, he would not care about those who gave up on him. However, if they kept following him, he would definitely not ignore them. Not only these people, but there were also the Black Hell Demon Lord, Diamond Rage, the Nether Race, and the others. Hanju would also take care of them, but it had to be after these people. The order was important. Murongqi, Liao, Great Loose Heaven, and Guanbubi were all missing. They couldn't even be seen in the Myriad Worlds projection. Especially Murongqi. The personal disciples all knew that Hanju doted on him. If something happened to this kid, Hanju wouldn't ignore it. There could only be one reason. Hanju was hiding them. The Black Hell Chicken asked, "Our potential is limited. Perhaps we can use Master's prestige to attain the Tao. In the future, we might not be able to keep up with you." It sounded pitiful, but it was also reality. Let's cultivate to the perfected pseudo-sage realm first. With that, Hanju started to preach the Tao. The great Tao of extreme origin surged into their minds. 10 years later, they had just left the Taoist temple, all of them looking forward to the future. In a dark domain, countless bones floated like a white mist. A lone island floated. A black shadow was sitting under an old tree. Upon a careful look, the black shadow was only surrounded by a black aura. As the black aura surged, he revealed an extremely ugly face. Many poisonous bugs crawled on his face. He wore a black robe and his chest was white bones. A beam of light descended from above and landed in front of the black-robed man. The wind that stirred up shook the island. The branches of the old tree shook violently, but no leaves fell. The black-robed man slowly said, "Why are you always so noisy? Don't you find it noisy?" The beam of light dissipated and a mighty figure appeared. He laughed wantonly. "Ha ha ha! Cursed fiend celestial, I saw that your place was cold and came to cheer you up." This black-robed man was the cursed fiend celestial who had already transformed. The cursed fiend celestial said calmly, You're a great Tao divine spirit. Can you be more serious? You just suppressed the ancient desolate not long ago. Although some tough people escaped, it's still considered peaceful. I remember that you told me before that you only have two enemies. One is the Dark Forbidden Lord and the other is the Heavenly Tao's Hanju? The purple-robed burly man asked, his smile fading. The cursed fiend Celestial nodded. The purple-robed man said, some time ago, Hanju killed 14 lives and a spare Tao spirit. Did you hear that? The cursed fiend Celestial nodded again, but its expression was unnatural. The poisonous bugs on its face also stopped. This child's background is mysterious. He also killed a deity and violated the rules of the chaos. Most importantly, he wants to strengthen the heavenly Tao. According to the development of the heavenly Tao, he will definitely change the chaos in the future. This is not a good thing. I plan to destroy the heavenly Tao. Are you willing to help me? At that time, I will let you kill Hanju personally. The purple-robed burly man snorted. The cursed fiend Celestial frowned. I'm not his match. Hatred flashed across his eyes. He didn't hate Hanju, but Divine Lord Peacock. That fool was toxic and kept chasing after him. The cursed fiend Celestial hesitated for a moment before nodding. He had no choice. The purple-robed man raised his hand and a figure appeared beside him. It was an illusion. This is Laozi, the strongest person in the deity realm of the ruins of End. He saved the heavenly sect master. I want you to curse him. The purple-robed man introduced him. The cursed fiend Celestial said, Laozi is an existence that surpasses the great Tao sages. My cultivation level is too low. I might not be able to hurt him. It's fine. You can learn from the Dark Forbidden Lord. Even if you can't hurt him, it'll still make him vexed and unable to cultivate. Fine. The cursed fiend Celestial agreed helplessly. The purple-robed man grinned. Oh you still have to cultivate well. You're far inferior to the Dark Forbidden Lord. No one will believe that you're the cursed fiend Celestial. How can your great Tao be led by others? The cursed fiend Celestial said, I know. Are you going to preach again? Ha ha ha, that's all. I'll help you kill Hanju first and help you find the Dark Forbidden Lord in the future. It just so happens that the chaotic deities are also looking for him. If you have any clues, inform me at any time. This is a great merit. Understood. The purple-robed man vanished. The cursed fiend Celestial's brows relaxed. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. Then, he closed his eyes and continued cultivating. Time passed quickly. Another 10,000 years passed. Hanju's cultivation improved again, but he was still far from breaking through. He had the urge to enter seclusion for 1,000,000 years. If he really did, it would be like a dream. Hanju opened his eyes and habitually checked his emails before observing the immortal world. He didn't want to find that the heavenly Tao collapsed the moment he woke up. No one had died in his circle of friends. Hanju already had many friends, but not many people could enter his circle of friends and be placed under special attention. The development of the heavenly Tao was also very smooth, even a little fast. In tens of thousands of years, there would probably be 2 more sages. Hanju noticed something. There was an additional aura of freedom outside the 33rd heaven. It was Heavenly Venerate Shendu. Hanju continued to observe the heavenly Tao. Soon, he discovered something else. Primordial Origin's coffin and the Primordial Chaos tablet were gone. Although Primordial Origin and Huangzuantian had fused previously, the coffin and the Primordial Chaos tablet had always been left outside the netherworld. It was not only these 2 things. Huangzuantian was also not in the heavenly Tao.